Hello and welcome to Follow Everton. I'm joined with Steve, Mabsy and Basil to discuss and react to Everton's new stadium approval. Initial reactions, folks. There's a big smile on everyone's face, I assume. And the red side of Merseyside would be very upset, actually, that the stadium is finally going ahead. Mabsy, we'll start with you. How are you feeling right now?
I'm just up after 3 or 4 years of 20 years of hurt. Finally, we're actually going to get. I think it's been worth it if we get it. I mean, it's still not 100%, but more than likely getting it. 21 more days. At least we know now a time frame.
Steve, you've sat through some failed moves. The King's Dock one in particular, that's feels like a missed opportunity at the time, didn't it? When you saw how well the Echo Arena has done. And then obviously the failed move to the Tesco Stadium, as we used to call it. But now it feels like Everton have finally got their chance to be on the big time with this beautiful new stadium.
Yeah, the stadium plans look gorgeous and everyone's really happy about the situation. We're all buzzing. And I think maybe it was just a situation that needed to happen when the time was right. Maybe we just didn't have the funding, we didn't have the team, we didn't have every infrastructure we needed, and it's all sort of falling into place. So I'm made up that it's all going to happen and start moving forward now.
And Basil, you've completed the first 3 years of your architect course, so you've been following the design of the stadium meticulously. You must have been really pleased to see that the stadium finally get approval today, because you were very a big fan of some of the design aspects, particularly the use of the Archibald pattern in the brickwork.
Yeah, I was very pleased to see that come through today. And look, we're getting away from those Copites just down the road. You know, we're getting as far away as we can towards the city centre, which is a relief. Let's get out of their shadow and let's step up now. And as Steve said, this is the right time to move forward. And the plans look great. I know. But you look back to like the ones you've just been talking about, the old King's Dock and the Tesco Stadium. They just didn't have the same credential about the design. They didn't feel like a full completed design. This has been done properly.
I disagree. I think the King's Dock was something that was a stadium and a half at the time, 2000. It had the rolling pitch. It had everything. That was a centerpiece. I'm not going to get away from take away from Bramley Moore, but to call the King's Dock, it was a masterpiece. It really was, to be honest. But we didn't get it, and yeah, we're getting this one, and it's about time the council bloody gave us something. After the failed bid of the Tesco's, they promised us the city set. They wanted to keep us in the city, and I think they've delivered this time. I don't know whose idea it was, but they've delivered on the proving it at last. We're 2 miles away from Goodison, so we're not leaving Goodison. We are leaving Goodison, but we're not ditching Goodison. Goodison's still be there in spirit. We're not going to sell it to the highest bidder. We're making sure that we are going to build that too. So no developer can just say buy it, and then just say they're going to buy it, and then they're going to sort the plans and build a bloody supermarket. Not going to be done, because Everton's going to be in charge, and it's going to be Everton's project. And I think both are very positive today.
So the stadium, the approval's it's got to be ticked off, signed off by the Secretary of State. Do you think that's just a formality, or do you think it could be called in?
I really hope it's a formality. I mean, as you were saying in the meeting today, that they think it's a waste of time. Historic England still want it called in, yeah, I think I think some of the comments were, they were like saying, well, yeah, we're all for heritage, but no one can access Bramley Moore Dock. No one can access Bramley Moore Dock. It's derelict, and it's not being used in years, and it's never going to be used. So what do they want? It to go into even further deterioration and look more of an eyesore, or spend £500 million and make it look like a swanky area that's going to be? It makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basil, what's your response?
I agree. I agree with Mabsy. I just can't see this being rebuted at this stage. It obviously we started off with the design. We had that large car park at the back. We had the main stadium bowl, and after consulting the planners, they reduced the height of the stadium. They removed the car park at the back, and they introduced a step plaza. All good moves, in my opinion. Step plaza was linking that site, the stadium, to its heritage, which is that dock. I mean, you can't escape what it's grounded in, a dock. So, there's some very good aspects about how they're using the site. And at the moment, the public can't get on it. As Mabsy said, public can't get in. It's not being used for its original purpose. So what's the point just leaving it?
It's never going to be used again. It's never
I
used as a dock again.
really understand the idea of filling it in a way that it can be put back to a dock. That doesn't make much sense to me. That's just
ships aren't going to get there. They've got the container ports at Seaforth. The furthest the port goes is like it's sea truck. So that's not even that far. It's too far. It's not going to be used as a dock again. The also other point with the government is that Boris Johnson recently was saying that the way we're going to get out of this, build, big infrastructure projects. That ticks the box. This stadium ticks the box. It brings jobs, brings creation, brings regeneration, and it's going to. I know they're going to claim it as a success of Corona, getting out of COVID. Good on them. As well as that is, you've also got to think that about 2 months ago, they actually they approved a new coal mine when they're trying to get to carbon neutral. Do you think ours are going to get called in? No. We are going ahead, and our stadium is going ahead within 21 days. And I think Historic England can get to buggery as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I don't know what Historic England, how much power they actually have over this. I think if the government say that's it, then it will go through.
Well, no, that's it. They've got no say. I mean, UNESCO. If we lose our heritage status by UNESCO again, makes no sense. So you're turning this derelict scrap, let's face it, that's what it is, into this beautiful architecture design, and they're saying it's going to ruin the waterfront. If they were building it next to the Three Graces, I could understand what they're saying. I cannot understand, because that area is all going to be redeveloped anyway by putting big skyscrapers on, and apartment blocks and shops and cafes and bars. So it's not ruining it. To me, it's just bitterness, or probably a cop-out involved somewhere down the line.
They've gone through many different sites, haven't they? I think it was 51 different sites they looked through. And we've had different projects in the past, and it's never quite worked out. That makes me think, despite this being what I would say is quite an awkward site to start with in principle, if this is the best they could come up with in 51, we're not going to get better than this. This is the right time to go for it. And they're going to want to push the economy. They're going to want us to get this built, and jobs, and the whole area is going to be regenerated by this. So
what they were saying again, what they were saying is the 51 areas, and they're most of parkland or woodland. Well, at the end of the day, of course, they had the right to do that. I mean, I wasn't really comfortable in building on Waterloo Park, to be honest. But it would have been sufficient. But at the end of the day, I think Bramley Moore is just going to be stunning, and the cop-outs are fuming over it.
It looks good. I mean, they've lowered the height of the stadium. The only thing that concerns me is the steepness, because when we went to those initial meetings with those conferences with Dan Meese and everyone, he talked a lot about the steepness and recreating that Goodison feel. If they have reduced the height significantly, then obviously the height of every step is going to be smaller, and it's not going to be as steep. So I haven't seen those drawings for the section, but I really do hope that they kept it steep some way, but brought the roof level down. But it looks like it's going to be quite an intense arena, especially with bringing the roof down, because when you're inside, you're going to feel that on you. You're going to feel that atmosphere. Yeah. It's all tight and imposing. So I'm really looking forward to it.
You know what? As I think everyone's seen on Twitter, like I think about 6-7 months ago, about Dan Meese not being involved. I think it's pretty sad. But today, I don't know everyone's following him. He's properly being given it the beans, and it is at the end of the day. To me, it's always going to be the Dan Meese Stadium, not CB, or I think it is who are now the architects.
Just to clarify, Steve, he had to go. He's explaining there. Great to know that my 1-year-old son won't be experiencing the blues behind a post. We're sorry he had to disconnect so soon, but he'll be back on the next video.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they were talking again about what's going to happen to Goodison, and one of the councillors raised the point quite strongly that he wanted Goodison to be kept in some way, and it was kind of just shot down in a way that was like, it's just going to fall down if we keep it. So it's quite clear that we need to move quickly. That stadium is not going to last much longer.
As much as I love Goodison, you can't to afford Bramley Moore, we have to knock it down. Absolutely, I think there's talk of doing a hotel with a bit of the Bullens kept. I don't know what I've heard about that, but there's going to be parks, community libraries, schools,
healthcare,
care home, houses. You know what? We build communities, them cop-outs destroy it. They do, honestly.
Yeah, I think the original plans had a section of the Bullens kept as
that's a
stand, but based on what he said today, I don't feel like that's going to happen. I would love that to happen, but I don't feel like that will end up happening. I think they'll scrap it ultimately, unless they want to invest millions of pounds in restoring a small section of the ground to keep, in the timber, and or just deconstructing and rebuilding it in exactly the same way. This is good for the community. What we're going to do at Goodison. It's a lot of housing, it's healthcare provision, it's educational facilities. It's it's not the most economically what's the word fruitful area.
Economically challenged, isn't it? It's one of the poorest in Europe. I think that's what they said as well in the planning today, and it's right. It is, and I'll say we're going to invest in it, and that's great. We're not. I think what Denise always said in the stadium unveiling is we're not leaving Goodison, not leaving L4, we're staying, and that's the thing that cop-outs can't get is we're not leaving L4. We're not. We're still there. We'll have the academy. We'll have the areas. We still be there. Listen, the centre circle's still going to be there.
What do you think?
That's a nice touch.
The aspect that they plan to keep a bit of grass so you could actually kick a ball on the centre circle area, and the Gladys Street, as far as I'm aware, is going to be like a kids playground area so that they can go wild.
That's amazing. As I say, I really want to buy a flat overlooking the centre circle. That's the dream.
Well, that's the idea, isn't it? The accommodation will be housed sort of facing into that into like the old player stadium. So yeah, it'd be class, wouldn't it?
I'm buying a flat there, so I'll go bankrupt before I'm buying one.
Of course. Obviously, the Blues CEO Denise Barrett-Baxendale was really pleased to finally get this one over the line. She's put a lot of effort into the club, particularly in the stadium project. 21 days is the time frame now the government have to have a look at the plans. So do you think in 21 days' times we'll have an answer?
Yeah.
And you think the answer will be yes? Get on with it.
I think it's a no-brainer. Given now the need for urgency for jobs, given the need that we want to get all that Everton don't want to stand around like they did, like then what over the park. We want to get started in April. That's the ambition by Everton. It's not just like, oh, well, we'll sit on it for a few years unless the market picks up or when fans are allowed back in. No, we're going spade in next day it's approved. And that's what the government want. They want the job creation straight off.
Basil, you're still a little bit... Thank you, Mabsy. Really good analysis. Basil, you've still got some reservations over the stadium capacity. You think it's a missed opportunity?
It does worry me a little bit because what are we on? 52,000? Well,
52,888. Yeah, 888.
Goodison is 38,16 something, whatever. So we're increasing by just over 10,000, aren't we? Which
there's a 17,000 waiting list. That's what they said in the today. 17.
So we easily get to bridge that gap. I mean, we kind of knew that, didn't we, beforehand? So, you wonder why we're not trying to increase the capacity. Is it the limitations of the site because of the way
Sorry, go on.
Well, if you look at the orientation, we're quite tight to the borders of the dock right now. So we try and get any more seats in. Could be tricky, but maybe they just want to be safe and make sure they fill the capacity every single week.
I think,
but they will do if they sell the season tickets, wouldn't they?
They would. But I think what they're saying is, if you look at, and I keep harking back to the Cop-Eight, but if you look at their big stand FC, right? They're saying that the higher you go, the more expensive they are and less worthwhile they are, right? The Cop-Eights have this promotion where we sell £2,009 tickets to people on L postcodes, right? They're right at the back, high up. What's the sense in doing that? I just the Sky High, they're not getting much revenue from it. What is the point? Just to get bums on seats, and I think they want to create that vibe. Dan said that those conferences being the hottest ticket in town.
Yeah, it would be impossible to get a season ticket. It would be impossible to get a ticket, though.
You don't want to go over the capacity.
That's the point,
you want to go under. Look at the Etihad. It's never full.
They've always taken a cautious approach to it because they've always said that they didn't know the capacity of Goodison. Now that may sound a stupid point, but they said the amount of hits they get on the website when tickets do sometimes go in general, the traffic they're getting is not as much as what the tickets are, because when they're looking and it's restricted use, he wants to be stuck behind the post paying 30-40 quid. And so the saying is, well, we don't know what the capacity is. But then also, if you're saying, I didn't know that we've reduced the height, now that's going to surely have an impact reducing the height and how many people you can get in on the site anyway.
I think in terms of extending the stadium capacity, they were talking about converting it into standing for that to be facilitated. It wouldn't be building extra stands or anything.
Well, no, but this is seated, remember? So this is 52,888 seated. So we probably could get more when a stay standing is ever brought back in.
Yeah, I think that was brought up in one of the early meetings, and I think Dan Meese did intend for it to be, a standing section. I think behind the goal would be a large proportion of standing seats.
Well, it's going to be in the home end, so-called home end, isn't it? That's where it's going to be. The so-called big stand. The so-called was it the wall of the
that's Dortmund.
The blue wall. The blue wall is Dan calls it, or the blue wave, as Dan calls it.
Comment below if you think that the stadium capacity is right or wrong. It seems to be quite mixed at the moment. A lot of people want to see the stadium capacity increased, and others are happy with 52,888.
I'm happy.
The way I see it a little bit, obviously, is that we've got 17,000 people on a waiting list, and we've got a capacity at the moment of just under 40,000. So that takes you up to 57,000, and we're under that with the new stadium. So we're at supply, and demand, really.
Yeah, but as I said, away fans to figure in and then corporate, so as well. But I think they've got it on the money. Personally, I think they have. It's not too big that we aren't going to fill it. We will fill it every single game.
It will be in demand. I mean, if they go bigger on capacity, we'll end up selling the seats cheaper, and we will fill it, but we'll be making the same amount of money. But what what effect will that have on the stadium? I know more people will
but
get.
Okay, so if you go up to say 60 with Seaton, and then I'm not saying we will. I'm just only using this as a very hypothetical situation. Is that some games that if we don't have it, and it just looks shit on TV. I think they're right in what they're doing. I think.
What makes you think though that they wouldn't fill it if they've got 39,000 in the ground every week and another 17,000 season ticket holders? If even half of them signed up,
I know it's me. I think it's me being paranoid, honestly. But I think Everton are being cautious. And you know what? At the end of the day, technology changes. They have got some space behind one of the side stands to probably increase it eventually if they needed to.
I think we've got to be trustful of what's happened here. And, there's been a lot of questions raised about the capacity. And all these experts who have been working on the project will have looked into detail about this and looked at trends of our previous increases of capacity in Goodison in terms of numbers attending. So I think we've just got to trust that they've arrived at that figure with some actual nous behind the
exactly.
figure.
And I think this is a conversation that's always going to go on. It's been going on for about 2 years now, but I trust Everton this time. I trust they've got it right. So yeah,
Mabsy, you're passionate and you're very enthusiastic about the project.
Yeah, why not? I've been excited since day one. I love Goodison. I love going. I love seeing going from the seat. I love everything about it. But she's showing her age. If you go away traveling, you look at these new towns like Tottenham Hotspur's beautiful stadium, ground. The Emirates, another beautiful stand. You've got these wide open concourses, and you've got the park, which is the most modern stand, and yet you struggle to say it at our time.
But obviously, Andy, well, we call you Mabsy,
and also it's really hard to get a pint at Goodison at our time.
But if you don't mind me asking, you did go to every game, home and away, at one point up until COVID.
Well, so
you've seen all these different modern stadiums. Where do you think the Bramley Moore Stadium project ranks in terms of your likes of the Spurs Stadium and the Emirates? And
but you know what? I'm going to be biased because I can't give you I'm not going to say because anyway, I can't say for sure what it's going to be like because we don't know. We simply do not know. We've seen photos of the concourses, but until it's actually there, I don't know. I can't say that. If it's half as good as the Spurs Stadium is, then I'll be happy. I mean that I keep right. That stadium is just beautiful. What are they? Even the away supporters, they have gorgeous facilities. I can't fault it. The seat, the viewing angle, everything about it is brilliant.
Yeah, but it's Londoners, isn't it? London prices, London quality.
And as I've said to you, David, I don't expect it to be as good because they spent £1 billion on their stadium. We're spending half that, and if it's half as good as that, then yeah, I'll be happy.
And just to interrupt you there again, Mabsy, in terms of timescales, do you think the 3-year build is ambitious, or do you think that's realistic?
I'm not a builder, am I? I think what's going to happen is we're aiming for that. It'll get pushed back, but we're not on the cosh like Spurs was. We will still have Goodison. We're not going to be chucked out Goodison by developers. Because we're developing it. So if then that project slides, so be it. And I don't think we're going to have the same situation because they were pushing, they were desperate to get into that stadium because they were paying for the stadium while it was getting finished, and they were paying for Wembley. We're not going to have that issue because we keep Goodison until we move out.
Yeah. Same question to you, Basil. Obviously, with your architectural background, do you think it is realistic, or?
There's just no way to know. I mean, in my experience, these projects have to have extremely good diligent management to meet those timescales, and there's no doubting this probably will have a good amount of management, but you just can't foresee these problems, especially when you're dealing with such a sensitive site as the dock and the ecological system they're going to have to deal with. And look, looking at just the groundworks, it's just going to take, I think, a third of the time. Got to, restore the hydraulic tower and keep the railway line. There's so much more in terms of the heritage assets of the site that they need to deal with that could spring up different problems. So we just don't know, do we? But 3 years minimum, you'd expect at the latest it would be done by the following season. If it doesn't make that 3 years that season, then it will make the following season, you would expect. But yeah, I don't feel a burning problem if we don't, make it in 3 years, if it's 4 years, as long as it's not 10 years,
Do you think that obviously Dan Meese is no longer involved in that aspect of the project? Do you think this will affect anything? And your overall thoughts on him no longer being involved?
Me, I kind of was sad about it because he kind of came up with a cryptic tweet and I didn't understand. There's technically been no formal, well, there was, and I think I get Everton's point of view, absolutely, and I think it's right, because they needed someone who knew our planning laws. Now, all fairness to Dan, they brought in British architects to get this past historic England and get it past UNESCO, and to know our laws, and I think it had to be done. And as much as I think, as the Everton have always said, this is still Dan's Stadium. This is still Dan's Stadium. It also will be Dan's Stadium. Even if whoever builds it, or I think Langs, O'Rourke, who are building it, prefer to work with these architects. And again, you've got to go with your builder. You've got to have harmony with your builder. He's not there all the time. He's going to be flitting between New York and Liverpool. And no, as much as I like that, I do, and I just think this is I think they've made the right. I think again they've been crack on with that.
Yeah, I think a lot of Everton fans will feel similar, that they were disappointed at first when they heard it, and they probably wouldn't understand why that decision was made. But Patton are a leading consultant for the technical aspect of stadium design in the UK. So, it's probably quite a natural progression to take Dan's design, and they haven't altered it significantly. They've just enhanced some elements of it from what I can see. So it will always remain Dan's concept and Dan's design.
Yeah.
Do you think then overall it adds benefits that they've switched over the firm that are going to be continuing with the development?
As I say, I think it's because of the planning laws. Basically, I think it was a complex build. It's not. I think if it was probably a less complex build, it wasn't a heritage site. It was just somewhere or nothing. Then potentially, we could have got away with that. But this is a more complex project. I mean, I don't know his skills and ability, but he's a worldwide guy. Patton are UK based, and they know UK law.
Which is really important.
Of course it is.
What are you two smirking at? We're just really, really happy that the stadium has been approved. Really happy that the stadium has been approved.
It's been a good week, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool fans will be hiding under their bad covers right now because the stadium has been approved, and we're going to be leaving them in their stadium. And what was the score of the weekend, if you want to remind?
That's it, 2-0. 2-0 to us, was it? 2-0. 2-0.
Brilliant.
Okay, then.
Just a word on the channel. It is a new channel. The name Follow Everton has been around a little while. I think is Mabsy gone. It's been around a while, but we haven't done anything YouTube or anything like that. And this is a new YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter at Follow Everton. You can like us on Facebook at Follow Everton. But on YouTube, we don't actually have an official name yet. We just have the link, which you can find on the website. That's because we need 100 subscribers to be able to get our actual name. So please subscribe and support this new channel so we can get our 100 subscribers, which will make it far more easier for us to spread awareness of the channel. Closing comments. Obviously, Bill Kenwright, Everton chairman, he said today, whilst today is just one more step in our long journey, it is a very important one. It's been a good week for Everton and Evertonians. How much of credit does the likes of Bill Kenwright get for something like this? Or do you think it is something completely outsourced and not done by Bill? Why are you laughing? He's gone. He's had enough.
I'm here. I'm just turning the camera off.
We're finishing up now anyway.
I think
Okay.
obviously, Bill's a devoted Evertonian, so he's going to be ecstatic, and he loves Goodison, but he wants to move the club forward, and this is an essential part of it.
It's always been part of his legacy too. He whatever people's thoughts are, he's always done his best interest. He's found the right guy in Mashiri Yusuf. He's always wanted to bring this to the stadium issue. So you know what? For everyone slagging him off, I personally think he's done his absolute best. He saved us in 2000. Fair play to the man. I think he's brilliant, but obviously people will disagree.
For a number of years, didn't he? And he finally got that investment, and that's pushed everything. The stadium transfers, although obviously we've wasted money, but that's pushing.
Anyway, guys, I'm going to go.
All right, Mazzy. See you soon.
Pushing the project forward. But I just wonder, where's the Arteta money, Bill?
Moving on to money, just quite quickly before we wrap up. Still no financing for the stadium has been announced. No partner, no nothing like that. Are you concerned at this stage?
Well, it's going to be USM, isn't it?
They're going to pay for it and they're going to sponsor it.
There's really no doubt that Usmanov is desperate to get his hands in his pockets and give us some cash. I don't know why, but obviously
he's sponsoring the kitchens at Finch Farm for 50 million.
He's sponsoring the name for crazy amounts of money. I mean, let's just see what happens with that. It looks like it's going to happen. I think you've got to give credit to Denise as well, Barrett Baxendale. I think she's done a really good job on this, and the staff who are involved in the project at the club. They put together an excellent resolved project.
In case you're wondering why there seems to be Basil seems to be fidgeting a little bit. Got a feeling, Basil's my brother, by the way. Got a feeling that my dad's probably in the room with them. He's poking him or something. There's something like that going on in there. No, nothing like that going on. We do know that Everton are going to be investing big in the summer in terms of the playing squad. Do you think moving forward, the stadium and the cost of the stadium, if it is funded maybe partly by Mashiri or connected people like Guzmanov, do you think that will affect transfers moving forward?
I really hope not. That's always been a fear of mine for the last few years. I've been thinking about that. When we reach that point where we're going to build the stadium, how much money are we going to have to put into that? It's hundreds of millions of pounds. So how are we going to finance the players? Well, we're probably not going to sign as many players. And we might have to get loans. But, Mashiri's got the money, but how much money is he going to put into this?
Talk of 100 million being invested this summer. We need a team that's going to be good enough to actually entertain.
We need to invest in the team now. Obviously, there's a lot of reports about this 100 million being spent. Maybe Mashiri's thinking it's imperative for us to build this squad that gets into the Champions League. A bit like Spurs did just before they moved into their stadium. They had a couple of consecutive Champions League years. And they got players in to play in the stadium. I mean, there's no point moving into a new stadium and playing like we have been doing at home. So we upgrade the squad over the next couple of years, and then we might have to suffer for a couple of years. I think everyone's got to be aware that the money will drop.
But we hope not. We really hope not.
We hope not.
And it's not necessarily going to be the case. It just depends on who's financing the new stadium.
If USM decide to sponsor it, then we might be all right. We might be able to, consistently spend money, because they seem to be throwing huge amounts of reported sums around for sponsoring goalposts and pitch blades of grass. So, yeah.
Thank you for watching. A shout out to Jackie Parr Stevenson. Thank you for loving this on Facebook. And Jeannie Fitzsimmons, thank you as well. And we know we've had a few viewers watching over the course of this broadcast. But please, if you like what we're doing, like us on Facebook, like the video on YouTube, give us a subscribe on YouTube, because it's really important, and show some appreciation for what we're doing. Basil, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening.
And don't know why something funny's going on there. I think my dad probably is in the room with you, but we'll hopefully catch up. We want to do a video previewing the next 6 fixtures, talking about what we expect from the opposition, and from Everton across the next 6 fixtures. So that's a video hopefully we're going to be doing towards the end of the week. So stay tuned for that. Basil, I hope you're up for that.
Yep. Yeah, should be involved in that one. Yeah, it'd be interesting to have a look at some reportedly comfortable fixtures from what I've seen, and see how Everton are going to make a mess of them. So, we're going to delve into having a look at that soon, which is going to be interesting.
Okay, thanks. We'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Follow Everton. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you.